The Lives of the Saints, by Father Alban Butler, July 23rd. The Three Wise Men. In the Gospel, it is not said that the Magi or wise men of the East were three, but the tradition that affirms it is very old and is undoubtedly based on the three kinds of gifts that the Gospel mentions. Some of the oldest frescoes in the catacombs represent three kings, but others represent 2, 4, and even 6 Magi, probably for artistic reasons. Some of the fathers, such as Origenes, St. Maximus of Turin, and St. Leo, consider it a proven fact that the Magi were three. Perhaps this number was also influenced by the fact that the Magi are often compared or contrasted with the three young men who sang the praises of God in the flaming furnace referred to in the Old Testament. In the frescoes of the catacombs, as well as in the most ancient engravings of the sarcophagi, the Magi are always represented with Phrygian caps. The idea that they were kings spread later and may have originated in Psalm 71:10. The kings of Tarshish and the islands shall offer gifts. The kings of Arabia and Sheba shall bring gifts. It seems that St. Caesarius of Arles, who died in 543, was the first to quote this psalm for this purpose, and from the 8th century, the Magi appear in all representations with the royal crown. Later, the Christian people gave proper names to each of the three. A manuscript from Paris dating from the 8th century calls them Bithysaria, Melchior, and Gaspar. In a miniature of the Codex Egberti, 2 names appear, Pudazar and Melchius. Despite these slight divergences, there is no doubt that the names Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthazar were derived from them. In the later paintings of the Middle Ages, one of the Magi is almost always a young man, another of mature age, and the third very old. The custom of representing one of the Magi as a black man dates from the 15th century. According to the legend, the remains of the magicians rest in the Cathedral of Cologne, in a chapel that constitutes one of the most beautiful examples of the delicacy with which metal was worked in the Middle Ages. There is no reason to doubt that these relics are those that were transferred in 1164 from the Basilica of St. Eustorgius in Milan, after Frederick Barbarossa gave them to the Archbishop of Cologne. But the earlier history of the relics is less clear, although already in the 9th century they were considered in Milan as those of the Magi. It is said that they had been transported from Constantinople to Milan, probably in the time of Emperor Zeno, but we do not know how these relics were identified with those of the Magi and how they ended up in Constantinople. It is indisputable that in the Middle Ages, the cult of the Magi was very popular, especially in Germany. The pilgrimages to the Cathedral of Cologne and the medieval mysteries, in which the Magi played a very important role, contributed to its development.